Okay, back with us tonight in part two of our two-part series with Weber Outfitters, Adam Weber and Josh Bickmeyer on the Zoom this time. But hey, we're here, boys. How you guys doing?
Doing pretty good on here. How's you guys?
We're alive. You guys are our first double Zoom call.
Yeah.
We've never done a Zoom call with multiple people.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm sure we'll have some type of technical.
Oh, yeah. Seems like we always do. Seems like we
How
always
did
do.
you guys get the height figured out for all three of you to be exactly the same?
Like, he's leaning down,
forward, and I'm
his
probably
feet's
all the way
up. I'm kind of.
Andy's sitting on his butt and Nate's standing.
That's pretty accurate. Pretty accurate.
Yeah, well, you know.
Oh, he's almost.
You guys been shooting your bows anymore at all, or no?
We had a couple extra phone books.
Funny you should say that. Today, actually, I was talking to Micah, and I'm thinking about switching my sight.
Oh God, what
Uh,
are you gonna go to?
well, I'm really thinking about the Trophy Ridge React Trio Pro. Even though it's 19 pin
Look at that
size,
new red line.
the new red line.
Yeah, but the torch. You need to look heavy into that one, man.
What's it
You
do?
would like it.
What's it do?
It's a sight. So the new setup that's got on it is the coolest thing that Redline came out with is it's vertical pins. And one of the coolest features is, you know how your light sometimes it just won't turn on because the batteries don't sync or whatever. It's got the USB chargeable battery setup in it, and it has an additional battery that you can twist into it. It's the coolest thing because you just click it and you're done, and you can adjust all your settings from right there.
I don't even think about that sort of stuff anymore right now, even though that's very cool because in Colorado, you can't use artificial light. So, like my black gold that I've been shooting for how many years now, it doesn't have any light. It just uses the fiber optics or whatever those are called. And I've just kind of gotten over it. But I'm not going to Colorado this year, and I don't know what Wyoming's
That's probably something you need to figure out.
rules are. Yeah. But
And it's kind of like the black gold, and it's because it's got the fiber optics to go all the way around the bell housing.
yeah.
So it just takes in all the light. It's a 2-pin slider. It's a vertical, and the way the sight tapes are built on it, it has the straight with the metal tapes that we were showing you, and then it's also got a secondary option on the wheel itself, so you can have two places to look at.
Is that
It's
what you
pretty
got?
cool.
No, I got CBE.
I think they kind of took some things from like the firearms world on that too, because I think Spot Hog probably maybe did this previous, but you got two different pen sizes, right? So you got that 19 for everything close, and then when you're turning out, you're down there at that 10. You know, when you're shooting fast and close, you want big pin, right? Lots of light, lots of sight, doesn't really matter. But when you're stretching out there at 80, 100 yards, you know, with the TAC challenge guys, man, and the stuff that's going on out there, like distance is becoming a thing with these bows. And that smaller pin is super advantageous. You know, if you think about it, the difference between a 19 and a 10 at 100 yards is you're looking at covering I think you're covering 12. It's either 10 or 12 inches at 100 yards with that 19. And you're looking at a 10 down to, I think it's like takes it down 3 inches. I don't know. The internet will murder me for everything I just said. I think I'm close in there somewhere. So
ballpark.
An engineer somewhere will tell me that I'm actually wrong, but it's cool. I love you still.
That's mostly the reason I've never gotten that Trio Pro is for whatever freaking reason. Trophy Ridge doesn't make that sight in any 10-pin offerings.
And we even talked to one of the engineers from Trophy Ridge about it. Like, yeah, they'll never do it. We're like,
why? Makes no sense. But like besides that,
I don't think Bear's known for. I mean, Bear owns Trophy Ridge. I don't think they're known for really speed bows. Like Bear is the hunting man's. Bear's the hunting man's bow, right? And I don't know that they're known for speed. I mean, Josh, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but. Like, I mean, they're not, I'm not saying they're slow, but like you're not getting the same thing you're getting out of some of the others that are on the market right now.
Well,
like
and
that's never been their push, I don't think.
They have it's a React 3 or it's a React 5 Pro. It's a 5-pin, and it came in 10-pin, one of the offerings back then. And I had that sight before I've had my black gold. I love that thing for several years. I switched to the black gold for several reasons. One being having the dovetail option, which I've moved that sight exactly 0 times after getting it set ever. So it's just kind of funny. You have that option, you don't really do anything with it, but we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves anyway. So let's back up.
We'll cover that here in just a little bit.
Let's start at the beginning. So when we're getting, we've just purchased the bow. We've shot all the different bows we tried, just like the 3 of us. We shot all these different bows. Nate chose the Elite Era, Micah with the Elite Omnia, and Andy went with the Bowtech SS34. And that part's over with. Now we've picked our bow. Now it's time to set a bow up, especially for, you know, a guy or gal who has never bought a bow from a shop before, or someone kind of like me who hasn't bought a bow. Actually, you know what? That was the first bow I've ever purchased from a shop. I just thought of that.
You and your big boy pants.
The reflex came from Grant.
Did you wear a belt?
The assassin.
The
The assassin came from Russell. So I've actually never purchased. I've never walked out of a bow shop with a bow before.
Damn.
Nate, what's it feel like to be a real boy?
A big boy now? Kind of weird because I still go and look at my assassin in the basement every day and tell him I love him still. So I don't know.
I'm sure you do. It's probably like a shadow box or something like that. Like,
I mean, that's part of the reason I thought about the different sight is because I'm like, well, I could put that black gold back on the Bowtech and like have a second bow.
That's what I would do if I was you. Honestly, I would totally do that 100%.
I mean,
He's going to put everything back on the assassin.
and you start shooting.
He's gonna start shooting. So Andy was gonna be right this entire time.
You guys are gonna see me at the bow shooting. Adam's like, "Why the hell is your era in the case?" No, it's not gonna be. I really enjoy it. I shot it a handful of times. I still haven't got anything sighted in yet, but it's been enjoyable. Okay, so you've bought the bow. Now we need to worry about setup, right? I mean, there's a lot that goes on. You know, you can get a person set up at, let's say, 65 pounds, 28-inch draw length, whatever they are, and they can try the different bows and they go, okay, I like this one. Let's do this one. Now we have more work to do, though. That's not the end for them, because there's all kinds of stuff that goes into getting a bow. What do you call it? Hunting ready? Shooting ready, tuned,
Field ready,
ready to hunt, ready to go.
Yeah. So Josh or Adam, just talk about some of the first things you start doing once we've made the purchase, or we said we're going with this one. Where do we go from there?
So the first thing I usually start out with is figuring out the exact draw length. So all the new bows nowadays, you can get down, some of them go to 1/4 inch specs, like without even adding cable turn, cable twist or anything like that. It all comes down to the modules. The modules are the biggest thing. And then as we showed you guys with Elite, especially, they offer 3 different kinds. They have the performance, they have the smooth, they have the 75%. So it's just whatever fits you the best. So when it comes down to that, and make sure the D loop's good, that's the very most important thing, is make sure that bow fits you properly. Because if it doesn't, trust me, I shot a bow. You can ask Adam. I shot a bow that was 1.5 inches too short for me for 4 or 5 years, but I love that bow. I got used to the way it shot. So that's the first thing. I want to make sure that the draw length is exactly where it needs to be. And then after that, it comes down to what rest do you want to run? Do you want to run a whisper?
Hey, let's talk about that for a second. Sorry, hold on.
There you go.
Let's reverb that back just for a second. So because, Josh, I think we've seen a lot of people coming into the shop that have never seen this technology that we're talking about, like, and it's like voodoo. So aside from Prime, Hoyt, and Matthews,
Okay. Yeah.
every other brand has figured out how to put a bow out that you can adjust in a adult span of draw lengths. You know, aside from, I know, unless you're Andy and you've got, you know, like a 32-inch draw, you know, or something like that, and you're left-handed, but basically you're going to get that spectrum, right? So Matthews is still stuck in this, a mod for every 1/2 inch, whatever it is. Hoyt has maybe stepped up to the game a little bit here with the 2 mods. So you got 2 mods. So you got either a long or a short mod, right? for length of adjustment. But let's talk about kind of how easy it is to fine tune that with some of these other brands. And I'm not bagging on anybody else as far as that, but I'm just saying that's a huge deal, because how many customers have we had that come in and they're like, well, I'm a 29-inch. They pick a 29-inch bow, and then they find out, they start shooting a little bit and like, I need 28.5, I need 29.5, whatever that is. So talk just a little bit about some of that we're seeing, Bear, Bowtech, PSE and Elite, and some of the stuff that they're doing to help the consumer not have to worry about spending $60 on an extra set of mods to get it to fit or something like that. So talk about that for just a second.
So with Elite and Bear and the guys that Adam just mentioned, their mod system goes from like 22 inches all the way to 30 to 31 inches. Like, it's all in one mod, just one. It's all you need. You don't even need a bow press to adjust these bows anymore on some of the bows. Now, granted, some of the bows, like the bigger name brands, you do need a bow press because you have to switch a bunch of stuff out. It honestly just comes down to personal feel, and it makes it a lot better transition for the customer and for the Bowtech as well, because you're getting them faster, and it works out good. We have this book we call it the Bible. That's what me and Blaine call it. It's the Bowtech Bible. It has all the bows that we carry and all the spreadsheets that we need. And it works out great, because if some of them go from A to D, some of them are 1 through 10, and 1 is not always the same as what 10 is, and it just goes back and forth, back and forth. So sometimes it gets confusing, especially whenever you guys were there and there was 3 of you were trying to set up and do all these different things and just make sure each bow was set up right.
And the beauty of the modern bow is, okay, you guys all got bows that didn't require like a specific mod. So let's say that, in 2 years, you guys find something you're in love with that you want to upgrade. I know, Nate, that's a foreign concept to you, but, you find something you want to upgrade to, or maybe you got a 15 or 16-year-old in the house and you're like, hey, I'm getting a new bow and my kid can pull, 60 pounds. Most of the time you have a 10-pound adjustment. So if you get 70-pound limbs, it'll go to 60 down to 50, you kind of get the picture there. But now you've got a bow that you don't have to try to find. That's so, like, let's say it's 3 or 4 years old. You're not out on eBay trying to find mods to figure out to get your kid set up, or your brother or your cousin, or whatever it may be. You're able, once you buy that, you can basically set it up for anybody in your family that you want to and help them get started. I think that's a huge value add to where the technology has gone in the archery world, and kudos to the bow companies for figuring that out, and the ones that haven't really should step up to the plate.
And it's consumer friendly as well, because you don't got to buy new strings every single time you adjust like you used to back in the day. Or it makes a world of difference. And they're like, oh, you can do that? I'm like, yeah, give me like 2 minutes and I'll adjust this real quick, and boom, done.
One thing I was gonna say, one thing I found interesting, and I think it was Bowtech, Josh was telling me about it. Why do some of them, like you were saying, use A, B, C, D, different numbers, different letters, but like, isn't it Bowtech that just straight up says 25, 26, 27?
Boom,
why do they make it like, why? It's not that it matters, but it just seems like it's so much more straightforward to have, this is 26 inches, this is 27. Is it just because there's less lettering they have to put on it? Or, I honestly,
I can answer that in one I can answer that in one word.
What?
Are you ready? Engineers.
Like
Have you ever met an engineer that wanted you to be able to do something simply? Come on now. No, I'm just joking.
Facts.
Much love to all the engineers.
A Bowtech engineer,
but common sense, boys.
But like, so if you get the Era and the Omnia, so Micah has the Omnia, Nate has the Era, and number 1 is not the same for both of those. So you got to remember that stuff, which is why I have the Bible, which makes life easier. Yeah, the Bowtech Bible.
If you only have to know your bow because that's what you buy, then that's it's easier to do. Now I would forget every time and have to look it up, which is fine. But that's important. Draw length is probably the most important, honestly, because you can really develop some bad habits. Like Josh, you were saying, for several years you were shooting 1.5 inches too short. I was actually shooting 2 inches too long and didn't notice it when I first got my Assassin. The stop screw on those is a pretty poor design back then. and it had loosened up, and I didn't realize it. But every time I was shooting, I was just going a little further back. And 2 months later, I didn't even realize that I was just
stretched way out,
stretched at 29 inches. That makes your shot's going to get worse. And all of a sudden I was shooting worse. I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong. Ended up taking it to somebody and figuring out, yeah, your draw is 29 inches, dude. That's probably half your problem, and it's just, when you see something, when something only happens a little tiny bit at a time over a period of time, before you know it, you're totally different. You don't even realize how much you've changed over the past 2 months. So
correct.
Yeah.
And
So,
another thing that goes, sorry, Adam.
No, that's fine. I think that understanding draw length, being able to adjust to, and get those fitted into you, super important for consistency. Bows are not guns. This isn't a sighted in and hand to anybody that wants to shoot it and it's going to hit where it goes, right? It's very personal. And it needs to be set up to you personally and properly. And, that draw length is super important. How you hit the peaks and the valleys of the draw, how that feels when you're drawing, if it's too long, too short, it all matters. So.
Yep, definitely.
And so what's next? Once you get the draw length where it needs to be, what's the next step?
Where's Josh going?
So when it comes to the draw length, and the next step is, what release are you shooting? Because that does make a difference. It's going to make a huge difference, because I shoot a thumb release currently. And if I go from a thumb release to a index finger, it is actually like a ½ inch shorter. So that is the next biggest thing. The release is going to make and break a lot of things as well. Now, there's always arguments out there which one's better. It's whatever your personal preference is. I have reasons why I shoot a thumb, and I'm way more accurate shooting a thumb release, because I take out a lot of the second guessing. Like, there's no play. I know if I miss the shot, it's because it's my fault, 100% my fault, not because my hand was twisted weird or the yoke was spun around differently or something like that. And then when it comes from there, once I get that lined up, we start working into what kind of sight are you going to run? Because your sight is going to be based off of the peep size. Because each bow, like the Spot Hogs, they're massive, huge, big window. So that's going to determine what peep size you're going to have. Where your guys' CBEs, and I think the Black Gold too, is
Smaller
about the
house.
same size.
Yeah.
About 1.5 inches roughly.
Yeah.
And so, good.
I was just going to say, going back to the release, I mean, even if you're a brand new hunter, you probably have an idea of what you feel most comfortable with.
Correct.
I would say, especially 20 years ago, even further, you're seeing guys hunt with thumb releases and hunt with even tension or back tension releases.
Oh, yeah.
Before, that was mostly like, just your competition shooters, but all your hunters were slapping the trigger.
Oh yeah.
There's still a lot of people, using index finger releases. Me and Andy both do, correct? Micah,
I'm an index.
Oh, okay. I thought you were switching.
No,
I'm back and forth.
Yeah.
Andy's been back and forth.
Yeah,
but-
Andy was using both releases when he was here.
Were you really?
So I want to go back to something now that I'm thinking about. What's the rule of thumb? So, like right now, I'm using an index. If I switch to a thumb, is that going to make it where my draw seems longer or shorter?
Shorter.
It's gonna feel like it's gonna be a little bit shorter.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to
Makes
think
sense.
about that. So
Makes sense.
whenever
Yes.
you pull the bow back, no, it's gonna be longer because
Yeah.
the way I'm thinking about it. Because so whenever you have a thumb release, the little yoke system that's on there and like where your hook is at or whatever style you have, doesn't matter. It's only like 1.5 inches.
Right.
And where your release comes back with the index, it's way back here and you're like reaching out. So you got a good solid 3 inches coming up. So it's going to make your draw length a little bit longer. Sorry, not shorter, my bad.
Yeah.
So that's where it's going to kind of come into play. And another thing that comes into it whenever I'm thinking about this kind of stuff, whenever it comes to a draw length, like if someone walks in like, hey, I'm 29 inches. I'm like, okay, what release do you shoot? And then if I see something that, like, because a lot of people they want the peep sight up to their eyeball. I've noticed this a lot. I don't know why, but they think it needs to be right there. And it's more for lining up your scope housing and everything like that with the sight. you got to think of it like a scope. You have two pieces and you want those to line up perfectly, but they bring it way back here and they can't, like, they're pushing on the string. It's not shooting straight. They get all fed up and mad. And I'm like, hey, just tip the nose, whatever you got to do. Just bring that bow to the tip of your nose and let it just barely hit there. And that's why Bowmar has that nose button that with a whole bunch of spikes on it. So you always have the same exact thing, because what's the biggest thing in hunting, bow hunting? Accuracy and repetition. Constantly the same exact thing every single time. Because if you do the same thing every single time, your shots are going to show it. If you torque it just a little bit, we'll cover that here in a little while. You're going to notice it, and you can even feel it. Me and Blaine were shooting tonight. He wanted to get his 60-yard set up, and I was like, all right, let's go. And he's like, wow, I missed that. I'm like, yeah, you torqued your bow. I was watching you. And he goes, I felt it in my hand. I'm like, that's just one of the things that you got to look out for.
Yeah.
There should be nothing different
No.
in your shot, how you shoot, what you think about, and your sight prep and where your sight hold is between 10 yards and 100 yards. It's the same process. You're just pointing it a little higher at a longer distance. And most people freak out, and that's when they over torque. You are going to tend to over torque the further or the more difficult the shot is, because you're intently trying to get that done. And you see it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I mean, they 6 of one, half dozen the other. I'm sure you have a lot of new hunters that say, hey, I want to get a new release while I'm here. Some come in and this is my release. I've been using this for 10 years. I want to keep using this. Great. Get our peep set up. For you guys, at least in your shop, then once you kind of are there, I guess, if they're happy with the bow, then they either say, hey, let's just keep it at the poundage that you had it at. So, 70 or 65, 60, whatever. And then we're going over to the paper tune and checking our tune, which we'll get to this, especially on my bow. My bow paper tuned really well, but then when we went to sight in at 20 yards, we had issues.
Yep.
Which is, to me, one of the great things about at least having a range at the shop that you can sight in that 20-yard pin, which not every bow shop has that opportunity, that ability. And that kind of sucks, because you walk out of there. If in my case, you would walk out of there with the bow, get home and be like, this freaking thing I can't even sight the damn thing in.
It's going this way and this way. I don't know what's going on.
So, anyway, we get that done and we go over to paper tune. And what are you looking for there? And explain why paper tuning is important.
So whenever it comes down to paper tuning, a lot of it depends on what kind of rest you want to run. So we have the main three: whisker biscuit, drop away from the cable, and then limb driven. And whisker biscuits are great. There's nothing wrong with those starting out. They're a great tool to start out with. They're a pain in the butt to tune, like straight up, because it's never consistent. Not one thing it's ever consistent going on with the whisker biscuit. And then with the drop away rest, what I'm looking for is, so I start them off at roughly, 10, 20 foot away from the paper. And what I'm looking for is how that arrow is coming out of the bow immediately. I want to make sure that it is going perfectly straight, and I'm looking for a bullet hole, which is you have the fletchings, and then you have a perfect circle in the middle. And then if it's not that, I know that there's something going on with either the rest or the D-loop is not in the correct spot and needs to just go up just a touch. It just depends on the shooter and the bow. And a lot of this I can pull out with the rest I can work with, or I can adjust some cables. Depends if you have yokes or anything like that. I can kind of move some stuff around. But the biggest thing, and one of the things that you're talking about, Nate, is how when you were shooting your bow, you were getting great bullet holes, no problem. Then we went to the 20 and we're like, hey, we're out of adjustment. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, we're out of adjustment? Well, I was like, well, let me see it. And then I kind of looked at it. I'm like, oh, okay. So every single bow has this sweet spot. So bows flex. Whenever you pull a bow back, it's going to flex just a little bitty bit because it's got so much tension, especially nowadays with all these bows that are shooting ungodly speeds, like ridiculous speeds. And so when it comes down to
for
that,
some of you,
when it
Darts and
comes
spears,
down to
buddy.
that,
Darts and
the
spears.
biggest thing. Go ahead. What do you got? I want to hear that.
He said darts and spears.
Yeah.
Because it's funny you say that because I chronoed mine when I got home, and I don't even want to talk about what it chronoed at.
No, what were you getting at? What do you got?
253.
253.
Yeah.
53 with 60 pounds though. At
65.
65 pounds.
Yeah.
That's
are
not
you
terrible.
at 65?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not bad actually. What's your arrow weight?
For 424.
So that's where it's coming in at, right
Yeah.
there.
I think
Yeah, you could
424.
get that changed around if you wanted to, but to be honest with you, you got enough kinetic probably at that
It doesn't
point.
matter.
At
Yeah.
253, I mean, you should be pretty good there.
I'm using which we're getting ahead of ourselves again, but I'm gonna use a really solid cut on contact broadhead, and that's gonna be my plan of action is cut as quick as possible because I'm not running as fast or heavy as guys like Andy. Even though we shoot the same arrows, his arrow is how
Full
many?
length.
I mean,
His arrow's 6 foot longer than yours.
so you're talking about what 8 grains per inch? I think is our arrow or something like that.
I'm actually a spine.
Oh, you're a spine. You're
sitter.
250.
Yeah, I'm a 250 spine.
So you're even heavier.
I'm heavier than
Yeah.
you. I'm shooting.
Yeah.
5.
He's probably 10.1 to 10.2 grains per inch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Hey,
5'30".
Nate,
Yo,
are you gonna scream at the deer? I got the cut on contact before you shoot him, or what?
I don't know.
Like, I think you should try that instead of the old, like tree fart noise.
Mhm.
Yeah, you should totally do that. Cut on contact, die.
I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Sorry.
I just ordered 3 more of those $120 broadheads yesterday.
Nice.
That's your own fault.
That's what I'm going with.
Dear Lord,
Anyway.
did Pocahontas herself sign them?
I don't know. They're good. but
Iron Will's pretty proud of their stuff.
They are.
I was going to say, it
Yeah.
sounds like you're shooting iron wills.
They
Like,
are.
that's pretty positive what that one was going to be.
Yep. They're not the only super expensive one, but they might be the most expensive. I don't know about that for sure, but they're
Just make sure when
definitely.
you're shooting those bevels, you get the right bevel for your bow. There's
Yeah.
different ones when it comes to tuning.
Yep.
Yeah, there's different setups.
Yeah, I'm not in the single bevel world yet, but anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves. But okay, so we're doing our paper tuning.
So when it comes down to paper tuning, all right, that like what you had, you were like, oh, bullet hole. All right, cool. Well, I was probably working
One
with
shot.
one of the other guys.
One shot. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was perfect.
And I was probably working with one of the other guys, and I was like, okay, that's a bullet hole, cool. So my mind's going 1,000 miles per hour, just make sure everybody else is like, you're done. See you later. Bye. Next person. Let's go. And then all of a sudden, I hear you guys talking. I'm like, oh, okay, he's out of adjustment. So we came back
And
over.
explain what that means. Out of
What's it?
adjustment.
Oh, so you were shooting your bow, and it was going. I want to say it was going to the left.
Yep.
And we couldn't go any further left. So we tried to shim it, bring it back the other direction a little bit, then try to go back the other way, and we couldn't get nothing to work for us. And that's when something actually hit me in the head. I was like, I bet his center shot is not correct. And center shot is a very big thing. It's so not only up and down, but left and right. So you guys got the elite QADs, right?
Yeah.
And it's only got like the 3 adjustment indicators on it.
Correct.
Okay. And then with a regular QAD, it has like a full row, like a full inch of adjustment.
Yeah.
So what I've noticed with the elite QADs is that they come made specifically for elite, of course, because it has a fancy little sticker on it, and they're already set up ready to rock and roll. Sometimes all you got to do is move the prongs. There's 3 holes and there's 2 holes for the prongs. Just move them over, just one slot, done. See you later, bye. And I think that's what we did for Micah's bow, because his bow was clean, done, the fastest bow I've ever set up, probably, besides my own.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
I'm clean like that.
And the one thing that we noticed, the one thing that I
Solid burn
noticed
on yourself? I don't know.
with Nate was that I got to looking, and I stood behind you, and I'm like, dude, you are torquing the heck out of your bow. You were torquing your bow so hard, you were shooting a bullet hole. So I went to like all my time working with Elite, and I've shot Elite for a lot of years, and talking with name drop right here, but Nathan Brooks, and he's showed me so much. He's a great guy. He's my rep for it. And he was telling me one day about there's Elite center shot is 13/16. So The old thing is that you set your bow up and you look down it from like bird's eye view, and you want to see it go straight through. Like the arrow has to be lined up perfectly. Well, not always. That's old school. That's not always the case anymore. Back in the day, maybe, but nowadays, no, not with the bows that are getting smaller. They're getting faster. And especially whenever you start getting up to that 70-pound.
Let's hope for you, Nate.
Probably not.
And
Well,
so
you're talking about
whenever
the
it gets
flexing,
down to
right?
that, I went back. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to move this because I think it was at, I want to say like 15/16 to an inch. And I was like, oh, okay. So I just brought it back just a little bit. And I looked at you. I'm like, I want you to go to full draw. And while you're at full draw, just glance up at your top cam. Tell me what that string is doing coming off of there. Because that's going to dictate a lot. Because all that kinetic energy, all the momentum going forward, it's going to push whichever way it needs to go.
Mhm.
That's a big thing that a lot of people don't realize. And I didn't really realize it either. I never paid attention to it until Adam told me about it one day. And I was like, well, son of a gun. All right. So you'll see me doing it. If I notice that my shots aren't right and I don't know what's going on with my grip, if I change one little thing up with the grip, I'm like, okay, so I'm just torquing it or I'm going the other way. So I just loosen my grip up. And that's another big thing I look at is after the draw length is the grip. Because I learn a lot about a shooter when I'm bow tuning. I learn so much. That's where I figure out if the peep is good, if they're hitting their nose, because I'm on their left side, so I can kind of see all the mechanics of the bow and making sure that's actually I'm timing the bow at the same time for the draw stops, and I'm kind of playing with it. And I want to tweak something because I kind of have OCD when it comes to this because I want every bow set up to where I'm happy with it because I want my bow to be perfect, so I want your bow to be perfect too. And my bow, I mean, I went down and dirty with it. I got really crazy. Everyone's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Just leave me alone. This is my thing. My bow. I want to do something to it." But and with your grip, what did we tell you? We told you to line your fingers up like straight up and down, right?
Hmm. Yep.
And essentially,
And it actually took me a second to figure out what you were asking me to do on looking up my string. And then as soon as I noticed it, that's when it was like, oh, and you see that cable coming around the cam,
Mhm.
and I think mine was diving like to my
it was
left.
diving like down to your
Yeah.
right side. So push the
Maybe it
arrow
was the other
left.
way around. Yeah, I can't remember. But and then you're like, oh, I get it. And then if you just kind of like, take your, your lead hand, or in my case, my left hand, and just kind of like you can see
Yeah.
the cable move up and down or side to
It's
side.
not a lot.
No,
I
it's
mean,
it's
not
very small.
grossly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
But
that very little bit makes a huge difference because you got to think like that little bit, like an eighth inch over like 2.5 foot. That's a lot. That's a lot.
yeah. And one thing
And
I noticed was, so yeah, you guys talked about, my fingers. And this might be true of a lot of people when they're buying a new bow. You're now shooting a bow, like for me, that's totally different than what you were shooting before for years. I was shooting the same bow for years and years and years. So I got comfortable the way it shot. I got comfortable the way I held it. And now you're holding something that's, I mean, for all intents and purposes, foreign to you, right?
correct.
It's brand new.
It
You've
is.
never shot it before. And so I think sometimes, especially for me, I think I was just doing everything I could to even pull the thing back at 70 pounds
Yeah.
with a new, different bow, especially compared to an assassin to these new bows with big cams. It was difficult for me, and I was doing a lot of things that I didn't, I guess, typically do. So
Well, you don't
Adam
think
pulls
about
me
it.
to the side, and he starts talking about. Actually, he got his bow out, shot it, and we were kind of talking about how he does it. And you just line your hand up, just touch those fingers to the riser, and if you're torquing your bow, just a small amount of pressure can really change the way
Everything.
that is moving. And he even had me pull it back and then torque it on purpose, and then just
Yeah.
put some pressure on that top finger and see what it does, and it just brings it right back to where it's supposed to be. So that's another nice part is you go in paper tune, then you go to sight in, and then you run into problems like I ran into,
Yeah.
which were multitude of things. It was torquing, and it was also, it wouldn't have mattered if I stopped torquing because I was still hitting left and didn't have any more adjustment to the left. As
Correct.
soon as you made that quick change to my rest, which was just one slot over. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure it went from the left slot to the center slot, I believe. I'd have to go look at it, but I'm pretty sure that's what you did. And you changed the V of the rest. Very first shot, and I mean, everyone was watching it by that point.
Yeah.
We were trying to figure it out. First shot I take, boom, I hit 6 inches right to what I was aiming at, and we were all like, "Yeah, figured it out."
We got room to play.
Now we got room. So that's one nice thing about, and I'm guessing you do this, everybody, is you're sighting that bow in at least at 20 yards. So that we know we got a good baseline. Now we can go from here.
And that's one thing I look for is like whenever it comes to the sight aspect. I mean, there's a lot that goes into sights. There is a lot, and making sure you pick out the right sight. And like I was talking about with PEEP earlier, so PEEP is a very big thing. And then a lot of this stuff is all happening. Like this all happens way before you even crack that first shot at 20. Like I don't care about the shot at 20 yards yet. I just want to know, like, pick out all your stuff you want, and then let's put it on the bow, and let's make sure everything's working with you and the bow and all that good stuff like that. And I didn't have time to do it with you guys, and I didn't get that far, and I wish I did, but I wanted to go back further and go back further and further and further when we're paper tuning, because just because you have it coming out perfect right then and there doesn't mean a whole lot at 20 yards. So that just tells me what's coming like out of the bow. So I'm looking for deflection from the arrow, making sure that everything's timed in perfectly, because with the drop away rest, I mean, timing's everything. Making sure nothing's hitting, making sure your cables are out of the way, because all the new bows, every brand, every single brand is so much adjustability in not only poundage, draw length, but for tuning purposes. Like everyone is starting to, the Bowtech, they have the deadlock system. That system's freaking awesome. That is the coolest system, because once you get your center shot figured out and like put the levels on it and all this stuff like that, and because that's another big thing is just making sure everything is level. And well, once you get to that point in time, then you start paper tuning. Well, you don't necessarily need to move the rest or anything like that anymore. And if you as the shooter are shooting like you should, like everything's working out good, and you consistently keep getting like a left tear. So with, well, who is it? See, Bowtech. Oh, there's so many. Like almost all of them. They have adjustability where I can move your cams just by turning an Allen head. And Elite set up differently, but with Bowtech, it's on the cams. With Elite, it's in the limb pockets. So the limbs will rotate like this for your tears. And with Bowtech, the cams just move back and forth. And sometimes they come out of sync. I mean, at the factory, what do? They slap it together, get it out there as fast as they can, right? They don't go through all the process. They make sure it's not going to blow up on you and all that good stuff. But whenever it comes to, so with Andy's Bowtech, the very first thing I do when that bow comes in is I make sure that I take 2 arrows with points on them, put them on the flat spot of the cam. And this is like a pro tip. Put them on the flat spot of the cam, loosen up my deadlock system, and I want those to touch perfectly in the center. If one's off and the other one's off, that means they're out of tilt, right?
You want to touch tips?
You want to touch tips?
They want to touch the
You
tips.
beat me to it.
I was waiting. I was like, somebody's not going to throw this joke out there.
Michael
Come on,
beat me
guys.
to it.
Man.
I was trying to let him finish his thought, and you just.
Well, I saw Micah's face. He was like, he said touch the tips. But it's stuff like that that makes a huge difference. And like my guys knowing that, this bow I can adjust like this. So prior to you even touching the bow, we go through them all just to make sure everything is where it needs to be. All the draw stops are where they need to be, because a lot of them you want that. You were talking with the PSC last week. It came in, it was like dunk. It was there, done.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, some bows are spongier, but all that goes into effect of what we're thinking about and how you're drawing the bow. And even when it comes to poundage, if you're sitting there fighting it, kind of like Nate was, like he was like, oh, no, can't quite get it. Then it broke over finally. So we turned them down to where it's comfortable for you. And so all that comes into play. Like there's a lot really going on inside of our heads, and we have to think about. But whenever it comes down to elites, they have probably one of the coolest systems. Have not seen this before, and it was awesome. Bowtech might have had this way back in the day, but they got rid of it and went to this deadlock system. But you can literally, it's called set technology. You can move the limb pockets left and right, and they have like on the dial it says for left tear go this way, right tear go this way. I'm like,
I noticed that.
Super easy. It's not a lot either. It's kind of like the string off the cam. It's very, very minute. All your adjustments are very, when they say micro, they're not joking. It's not like quarter at MOA. It's micro, like just a crack, just boop, done. And one of the things that I've noticed a lot of times with people is that they shoot open-handed. Like I see it all the time. And so whenever, yes, just like that, whenever you shoot open-handed, if you like go out there and try it, you don't think you're doing it, but your brain's like, hey, you're going to drop this really expensive toy you just bought. And so you every single time you'll grab that bow and you'll drop your shot 9 times out of 10, guarantee it. I've had people come in, like some of our regulars that you saw come in. Mm-hmm. This thing is just not working out. And I'm like, dude, close your hand up. Don't death grip it, but just, close it up. Like, cause you're like, well, I'm not doing that. I'm like, yeah, you are. So I'll videotape them. I'm like, see right there, boom, dropped it. And that's just one of the things that comes in the paper tuning. Cause, one of our guys was really bad about it. He's like, this thing does not tune. It's a piece of junk, blah, blah. I took the bow from him, shot it, perfect bow hole instantly. He goes, how'd you do that? And that's kind of where I got into it. And I don't like doing that to customers. I feel like an ass. Like, hey, you're doing this wrong. Like, I hate that persona.
Come to Weber. Josh will call you a dumb shit.
Yeah. And I don't want to be that guy.
No, but I mean, it's all to help.
Because it's hard sometimes. I mean, think about it for a second, though. I mean, and it's funny, but think about it for a second. Somebody's dad probably taught him a bad habit.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, and when you tell them like, oh, you shouldn't do this, like most of their life, it was reinforced in their head, like, do this. So, there's a fine line, and let's be honest, a lot of folks in this world are set in their ways. You got the old school, you got the new school, and you got to be careful. Like, there's a fine line sometimes of like, you really got to let them figure out that it is them and not the equipment on their own, or they get really, unsought for advice is seldom heeded and often resented, I think is the way the quote goes, and so it can be a challenge sometimes. Yeah, I know, right?
And sometimes bad habits work for people. I mean,
absolutely.
I know a really good archer who has said to me before that like there's some really good people that shoot that slap their triggers, but they just know exactly what they're doing, and they don't give a shit if they're doing it wrong because it works for them, and they're really good shooters.
And so amateur practices until he gets it right, or professional practices till he can't get it wrong. And, you can do something a different way and do it perfectly and execute it just fine for you,
Right.
But yeah, no, it's a challenge some days. That's for sure.
And I'm a prime example of that. I am what you consider a command shooter. Like I know when my release is going to go off 100% of the time. I always do. And so like, I don't pull through my shot like you should. I try to do it. And if I try to do it, it's just a mess. So I'm just like I'll do it a little bit, I guess. I don't know. But I know exactly when my release is going to go off. But I try teaching people the other way of, hey, you guys need to do it like this. Like this is the way it needs to go. Try it like this. But I mean, it's one of those things where I've had people like, here, you shoot the dang thing. I'm like, okay. Then I shoot it and I shoot a bullet hole and they're like, how'd you do that? I'm like, well, you see here, try it like this. And they go, oh, then they start doing it and then they're happy. At first they're pissed because their $2,000 bow is not doing what it needs to do. Then they realize, oh, it is me. Okay.
Now Adam lost out on billable sales.
That's all right. I mean, a Ferrari will go fast, but if you don't know how to shift the gears, what's the point, So,
exactly.
Oh God, that would sound so horrible. Can you imagine like grinding gears on a Ferrari? All that money going away? I would never be driving.
You can own a Ferrari, you can afford the extra gears.
That's true.
Right.
So that's a important step in the process of setting up the bow, at least for the three of us, was after the paper tuning and shooting at 20. Obviously before all that, we kind of jumped the gun, but yeah, you installed our quivers, our stabilizers, whatever, we picked for all that. All those
Yeah.
were put onto the bow, which just makes it easier for the customer. I mean, it doesn't need to be done. I mean, I could have gone home and done the stabilizers and quivers and all that. And I'm sure if you're super busy, maybe those go home with the person, but it's just nice that the person walks out and they don't have to go home and then add other things to it because it's all there.
You want to paper tune your bow how you're going to shoot it. If you're going to shoot a quiver on in the tree,
I want that quiver on.
Hell, if you're going to go on a stock hunt, maybe you normally take the quiver off in a tree and you're going to go on a stock hunt, or you're going to be on the ground, you're going to have that quiver on the bow. Paper tune, or at least check yourself with all of that gear on, because it makes a difference. It makes a difference in how the bow performs. And I think where I learned that the most is in the competitive shooting world of archery, because, I'd shot bows for a long time, had never shot any kind of competitive archery whatsoever. And when you're shooting a arrow at a dime at 20 yards, it looks really freaking easy when these guys do it in Vegas. And my God, that is a challenge. You want to talk about getting humbled. That will humble you. But when you start watching these guys, how they continuously, you think a 10 end match is 30 arrows. And you're like, oh, 30 arrows, like that's not a big deal. When you're shooting 30 arrows at a dime, and the only way you're going to go, like, look at Vegas, and Josh, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't the final round in Vegas, in order to get to the final day, you had to shoot 900s?
Yes.
You had to have a 900, you had to be perfect.
Yep.
For an entire week. So think about that. Yeah, that's all the way through just to get a chance to shoot in the finals. And then they had a shoot down, it ended up in multiple shoot downs where it's a do or die arrow.
And it comes to fatigue at that point.
Yeah. So point being said, it's really important that you're at least checking your paper tunes. If you're going to change up the game, if you're going to take 3 ounces off on a stabilizer, check your paper tune. It will affect it. You'd be surprised how much it does affect it. But, and that's why you should go to a reputable shop with reputable techs that know what they're doing and can help you and are willing to spend the time with you. Weber Outfitters, and this is a plug. I own the place. I don't even care about shame at this point. But this is a plug for us, and it's a plug for other shops across the country. We all sell archery products. We all sell brands. We're not manufacturing these bows. We're selling brands that are known and trusted. So when you compare, people say, well, what is so different about Weber Outfitters? We're set up to be able to get you start to finish and comfortable, and you can have confidence when you walk out the door. Archery shooting is mental. Making good shots is mental. If you find yourself, questioning whether or not you can hit at 20, well, I'm close at 30. I don't know. Well, okay, the buck of your lifetime comes in at 47 yards. You're going to doubt yourself because you were questionable at 30, right? So helping shooters to identify that. And the one thing that separates Weber Outfitters from everybody else is we will give you the time. There is no, okay, hey, you bought a bow from us. Okay, you've got 1 hour for free, and after that, we're charging you $1 a minute. That didn't happen to any of you guys. It doesn't happen to any other customers that come through the door. If it takes us 4 freaking hours to get you set up, we're there for the duration. And because we believe that your experience starts with us. And so total plug, don't even care about the shame. But that's what makes it different, and I ask you guys are out traveling all over the country, where else are you seeing that happen,
Well,
and
I
say that as a challenge.
Last week, I wasn't myself, which is why I really didn't try to buy a bow for the last 5 years. Because the one time I stopped somewhere to shoot that SR6, I think I said the last time, the dude handed
71.
Huh? Yeah,
Here's
God, you're gonna do that again. The dude hands me a bow with a 29.5 or 30-inch draw and says, "Give it try it out. It's close." And I shot it like 2 times and put it up. I'm like, okay, that was worthless, and walked out. And that was the only time I probably shot a bow. And for a consumer like me, at least, I won't go back. I won't
Yeah.
try again. I'll just be like, oh, fuck it. I'll just keep my assassin and move on with my life. And I guarantee you there's a lot of dudes and ladies out there like me who are shooting bows that are older. Maybe they don't love them, but it's easier than dealing with a new one, right?
Yeah.
Well, the nice thing about where, the experience we had with Weber Outfitters, and obviously we're partnering with you guys, but we went in, we got to shoot what we wanted. We got to screw around with it for a while. We chose it, and then it got set up. So at least we could walk out of there, confident that, hey, if we need to go hunt tomorrow, we need to sight obviously the person's not perfectly sighted in. You gotta sight your bow in.
Oh, it's practice.
I get you pretty close.
Well, like I've got a 3-pin slider. I didn't sight the 3-pin slider in. You've got to do some more work. Shoot, but you can be pretty close to ready to go.
Yeah.
At the end of that day or that experience.
I know if I can get your left and right figured out, get your 20 figured out, your 60 is gonna be right there. Like it's just finding out where the 60 is at on your slider.
Where the tape is, yeah.
But so and anyway, to go back to building the bow and all that good stuff.
Wait, that's what we're supposed to talk
I
about?
guess so. Like I thought this was like a BS session or something like that. I mean, it's kind of like a mix. But
honest.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. That's all our, we just BS through life.
For 3 years now.
For 3 years now.
Worked out pretty good so far.
I mean, if we're going to talk about some BS, should we talk about Kansas City barbecue? I mean,
yeah.
Shots fired.
Episode 3. That's gonna be that one.
Well, I had to do something to get Andy to talk, for crying out loud. I mean, I don't know.
Andy's just a
delete.
bright guy.
Back to regular programming. Building a bow, Josh. Start talking now.
Yeah.
So
To build a bow properly, you need a nice
So Micah's cow tongue.
some Jack Stack sitting there, maybe some Joe's KC, some slaps. You need to be properly hydrated with your barbecue and fed. And then
but at the same time though, like this is how I am, and Blaine and Matt and even Weber is too, with all of our customers. Like it's a BS session while we're doing this, because setting a bow up is not a fast process. Like unless you're Micah and it just freaking works out unbelievably within 5 minutes and you're done. But
That's the guy I want to hunt with.
I know,
Things
right?
go well for him. Things go
I
really well for
can't
him.
wait till you start shooting. You're like, I can't fucking hit anything.
I've already shot it. I'm hitting.
But I like to bullshit with the customers, and I like to talk to them and just kind of get to know, like, what are you going hunting for? Like, if I'm talking to them, like, they don't realize I've already been there for an hour while I'm getting all this stuff done. And I'm not, it's not like an awkward silence. What'd you say, Andy?
They're not thinking, God dang it, hurry up.
Yeah, that ain't no joke. But so the very important thing is draw length, okay? Or I guess the very important thing is color of the bow, because it matters.
To some
And
Hey,
people,
you gotta
yeah.
do it for the gram, bro.
All for the gram.
Don't be
Got
dissing
you.
the gram like that.
Gotta get them
Uh-uh.
DNs.
I'm glad I don't do it
Yeah,
for the
that
gram.
gram, that gram. My friend Graham, he brings me bennies, so don't be dissing the gram like that, all right?
Graham can kiss my ass, man.
Nate rebuilt an entire bow, the exact bow they built, to show up 5 minutes later.
That was hilarious.
That was
Pretty
so
much, yes.
funny. Because I want the green one, but I want it in 70. I'm like, well, I don't have 70, but that bow's the same exact bow, and it's 70. I'm like, tell you what, I'll swap out everything literally for you, just so you have the OD green bow with 70-pound limbs you can barely pull back, and then we'll go from there. No, you're doing good. I had to.
And then I'm not kidding you. Maybe
was 5 minutes.
5 minutes after you were done, a
UPS.
truck comes in. Oh, here, got something for you. OD green, 70-pound era.
I was like, no.
Can't make it up.
It didn't take me that long to tear that bow down and put it back together and get
No,
you
not
shooting.
really. No, 15, 20 minutes. It didn't take you very long, but still, it was like a process you had to go through just to mess with it. It's just kind of.
But that's what I do on the regular. I wouldn't, not even just for you. I'll do it for anybody. Like, that's just my thing. Like, no problem.
I thought I was special.
You're not special.
Don't you worry. I'll text you and we'll FaceTime later on.
There you go.
But so
I'm not sending you the link.
So you
Well,
picked.
why were-
So
why
you
were
got your
there
bow.
3 different packages show. I mean, there's constant stuff. I mean, new inventory arriving for you guys. So that was pretty cool.
Mhm.
Yeah. But so we got the
Speaking
draw
of new
figured out.
inventory,
Yeah.
Josh is gonna
What?
murder me. Speaking of new inventory,
Oh,
you guys
God.
gotta come back because we got some really cool stuff in today. Those new slings we got in today.
Oh, I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, those new slings we got in today are totally bad tail. I don't know if we can say bad words on the show or not.
You can,
They're
you can
totally
say ass.
Oh, they don't give a fuck. It's okay.
okay.
Yeah.
They're totally badass. But yeah, we'll send you some pictures of them on Josh's bow, but they're cool and
Yeah.
I used the crap out of that tonight when I was shooting 60, and Blaine's like, that thing is handy. I'm like, I like it. Like, it's very comfortable. So
Next time I'm in the area, I'll be stopping by anyway because I got to thinking Wyoming. I'm going to be up on a mountain hopefully for 5 days at a time, and I'm like, I got a 4-arrow quiver. I probably should go grab a 6 just in case shit goes wrong. So next time I'm in the area, I'm probably gonna stop by and grab a 6.
bring a hat.
I will bring more than one.
Ooh.
I'll bring a whole box that you
Josh,
can
what
pick from.
were you saying something, Josh?
I think I was trying to say something about like what this episode was about, but I mean,
Yeah,
hey, I
continue.
I'm very passionate about what I do, so like I'll ramble on and keep going and keep going. And you guys are cool, so I'll sit here and bullshit with you guys, no problem.
Andy does that a lot too.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Big
silence
bullshitter.
of Andy. And I'm half deaf in my left ear, so every time he talks to you, I'm like, huh? I'm like, I cannot hear you, bro. Like you talk so quietly, bro.
For a large individual, he talks quietly, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Hey, what do they say? Talk softly, walk softly, carry big stick.
Sure, sure they do.
Sounds
It's
right.
For somebody in your family.
But so you got all your accessories. We put it all on there. Figure out your draw length. Figure out your release. Because those are 2 very important things. We figure out what size peep you're going to run, and typically it's a 3/16 peep. And there's 1,000 different ways to tie them in. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole because everybody has an opinion. And so we get that figured out. We make sure that it's good for your eye relief, because we don't want you smashing it in and you don't want to be like looking for it, trying to figure out where it's at. Because if you move the peep just a little bit, your shot's way off. Your bow is not going to be shooting good at all. So I always tell people, close your eyes, go into full draw, close your eyes, rest your nose on the string, and tell me what you're looking through. Up, down, left, like how do you want me to move this around? And that's one of the steps I go through also. But whenever, like usually people don't pick the peep sight unless it's one of the fancy ones for target bows, and I'm not going down the target bow road because that's a whole nother animal, because tuning is just completely opposite of bow hunting. So I'll generally just look at the bell, throw it in there, call it a day, good to go. And then the next biggest thing is arrows. Arrows is very, very important. So each arrow, everyone thinks the number like 340 or 300 is the grains. It's a common misconception. It's not true. It's the spine. Spine is your stiffness. And then you have different sizes. So typically, a lot of people don't know what they want to shoot ever. And I will grab what they want and be like, hey, try this out. And we have, well, you can shoot my arrows, you can shoot whoever's arrows, you can shoot all my stuff. That's fine. I don't care. And we'll do what the bow wants to do, because with these speed bows, a lot of them, it's always better to go a stiffer spine than a weaker spine, because the spine is your flex. That's what's going on. So if it's flexing a whole lot, it's going to paper tune like crap at 10 yards, 20 yards. And you're going to see that thing just buck and kick, especially if you're lighted knock on it. It's kind of cool with a lighted knock, especially at nighttime. Yeah. You're like, what the heck was that? So when it comes to arrows, it's a real big thing of mine. I like a lot of the brands, but I have one brand in particular because I've been shooting that brand for a long time and I absolutely love them. And so I will typically pick those out for people, and then I will cut them down to what they want. And sometimes, like me, I like to cut mine a lot shorter because you can, but you adjust quite a bit. I'm like, okay, so if you're going to shoot a 350 spine arrow, but your draw length is like yours, Nate. Well, once I cut all that off, I'm stiffening up that arrow. like the grains, like it's still gonna weigh this. Like we can make it weigh the same. That's fine, not a big deal. But I'm stiffening it up, so I gotta kind of put that into my head as well, and kind of go from there with it. And then from there, we throw it on. We get your 20. We tell you turn around, line up, shoot. Tell me how's it feeling? Is there any little adjustments you want to do? And because by the time after they get done paper tuning and I give them some tips, they forget them every single time. They always forget what's going on. They just line up, crank that thing back, and just let her fly. Well, they're like, this thing isn't shooting right. I'm like, well, it is. Just slow down. It's not a race. Just slow down. Just let the bow do what the bow wants to do. Because it's a tool. It's a machine. You can't force it to do something it doesn't want to do. Otherwise, it's going to tune like crap, and you're going to miss the deer of a lifetime, or you're going to blow it up. I mean, always make sure you guys got an arrow in there when you draw a bow back, please, because I've seen too many dry fires come through here lately, and it's not a fun time. And being a paramedic, I've seen it in real life too, and other side of that, it's not cool. I mean, it is cool, but
yeah,
yeah,
not for the person that happened to.
Right.
yeah, it's expensive.
Very bad experience all around.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, an arrow is important. I mean,
an arrow needs to match the bow. Like
right.
it really does. Like I don't care about the color. I don't care about like veins. It's whatever preference you want. Like I have some plastic veins, Zinger fletchings. I threw them on mine and shot them, and they shot really good. I was like, well, that's cool. Like no glue. Like it was just something weird. I figured I'd try it out and give it a run. They shot the exact same, paper tuned the exact same, but it just a little bit of fine adjustments. But whenever it comes to like killing a deer, it's not all about the speed. It's about the kinetic energy at the very end of it. You want that punch to go all the way through because you want to get pass through, right? You want to harvest the animal. That's the whole entire goal. So you want to harvest the animal and make it stick in the tree behind it. That's what you want to do. And that's what a lot of like the bows I've set up recently are going to be doing with 500 grain arrows and shooting 290 feet per second. That thing's going to take down a buffalo. That's no problem.
Sorry, Nate.
Yeah, that's some bullshit.
You'll never see that.
We'll never see that.
Yeah, that has a lot to do with the let off,
or-
and then there's a lot that goes into that because like the stuff I've explained tonight is probably a quarter of what like really, really, really down and dirty goes on to that people like. If you bring your bow back up to me before you go to Wyoming, I'm gonna set you up to where you're gonna make those long shots and kill something, no problem. That's the goal. Like I'll broadhead tune all your stuff and make sure that that thing is flying as true as it possibly can, because I have the tools to do that.
Nice. Yeah, and I mean, once again, especially on the bow setup, there is so much
Oh God,
that goes into it. You know,
Yes.
the shows we're doing last week and this week with you is really just walking people through the process of buying and then the basic setup so that
Correct.
they know they can be shooting. And then if you get into the sport even more, like all of us have, that's when
You teach.
Oh, you get into, like,
you get
helical-
really
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I've got a Bitzenberger sitting in there. I want to do this. I want to try these veins. How many different types of veins did we buy when we bought
first
arrows?
started?
Oh my gosh,
a lot.
Probably 5 or 6.
Heats, AAE hybrids, AAE
Blazers.
this blazer, just the normal blazers. All of us shoot different, veins on our arrows now. Like there's all kinds of tinkering you do with everything. You from veins on arrows to arrows themselves, lighted nocks, different
Arrow wraps,
releases,
everything,
arrow.
like-
Oh gosh, arrow wraps. One slinger, one stringer. They're out of
One
Missouri.
stringer. One stringer down in Republic, Missouri.
Yep, they're out of Missouri. That's where we got all our stuff. All kinds of stuff. And those are just arrows. Then you talk about the bows, different sights, dovetails, not dovetail sights. Why you want to do this? Different accessories for the bows. All these different things you can do to make yourself go crazy.
And the biggest thing with the dovetails, what we were talking about earlier, is like so it slides in and out, right? It's got the little notches on it. That is for your focus. Like if you have it way out there and you're looking through your peep, you can see all that surrounding on the outside of that. Like whoop, you can see all that. So you bring it in, so you close that gap. So your only thing focusing on is inside that sight picture. That's all you care about. That's why you never move your dovetail. Like you can move it in and out, and it's not going to change your distance.
Right.
But it's going to change what you're seeing.
Yeah. You have your sight picture, I guess you'd call it, or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, if you've got it's kind of hard to explain this on a podcast, but if you've got, let's say, the size of a dinner plate over the size of a you know, what do you call it, snack plate, well, you've got a lot of play right there around the what? You talking about this? You take a picture, you sons of bitches.
Andy, send it to the thread, please.
Oh, I'm trying to be serious for once in my damn life, and Andy is the problem.
That was awesome.
No, what you're talking about.
But you know, if your peep is, let's say, the size of a dinner plate, I'm gonna leave my hands down, over the size of a small damn you guys, a small plate, then you've got a lot of air in between. Yeah, and that's a lot of room for problems, because now you can, you know, be off, and that's where you want that peep to kind of just be about perfect with the side housing, so that they're, gosh, I'm gonna have to watch it. Okay, keep somebody else talk.
And so the other thing that comes into play is broadheads. Broadheads is a huge thing. Like you have your fixed, you have mechanical. Iron Wheels come out with that bevel, and a bunch of companies are starting to come out with the bevel shape. And like I was telling Nate earlier, make sure you buy the right ones, because some of them, like the bevel is on the right, some of it's on the left, some of it's doubled. So it's going to steer your broadhead, or it's going to steer your arrow. It's really weird how that works, but it is very true. And each one is going to fly differently. It's just nature of the beast. And then
hold on, I'm pausing this shit. Remember where you're at, Josh.
Each one's flying differently.
Holy shit.
Oh wow, that's got to go in the 2023.
God.
That is so much meme. There's so much meme material. There's so much meme material right there.
You know,
oh my god.
Post clips on the Facebook. We need to
Bowtech Assassin.
Oh, I will. Let's see, that was about 105.
We need to put Bowtech between the two hands. Oh wow, dear Lord!
Oh,
and that deer is looking at you like, motherfucker. You Jesus.
I can't believe I let you kill me, you motherfucker.
Mike goes over here for you.
Bud Light, you Bud Light drinking motherfucker. You got me.
Oh man!
The funny thing is, whenever that happened, it's like, either of you two bring Bud Light into my house, I swear to God.
Oh,
didn't look like your first time.
He did it with a smile on his face too, champ. Congratulations. That's good. Good for you. Good for you, buddy. Good for you. It's a brand new world.
Couldn't even take a breather.
Fuck you guys.
Why are you crying, bro?
Oh, I'm laughing.
Too deep.
Oh, that was awesome.
Too much.
That's what she said. That's what he said, I mean.
Mm.
All right. Calibrate. Josh, you ready to get right back to where you were?
Yeah, let's go.
3, 2, 1.
So with broadheads, it's a whole different world. I mean, archery, like Adam said earlier, anybody can hold the gun and shoot it. You can make it all work. Archery, it's specific to that person, that individual. And even whenever Caden, correct, that's your boy's name?
Mm-hmm.
If he was down there, kids are the easiest. They have no idea, especially like the first time shooters. They just naturals. And I could tell them something and it sticks to them and it's just perfect. I don't got to argue or nothing like that and make the guy look bad in front of his wife because he's been shooting for 1,000 years. Done that several times.
It makes me think of, you guys ever seen the show Parks and Rec?
Yeah.
Ron Swanson, when he walks into a Home Depot and the guy's like, "Can I help you?"
I know more
than you. I feel like you guys have to deal with that every once in a while, and that's got to be fun.
Yeah, every once in a while we do. I mean, it does happen, especially so I'm mostly self-taught. Like 90% of everything is self-taught mistakes I've made throughout the past. I've only been really like dedicated to bow hunting for probably the last, what is it, 23, probably 10 years, really, eight solid years of nonstop archery. Like I really could care less to gun hunt, but that was always my biggest thing. And my dad didn't. He was a gun hunter and crossbow because he had a bad back, and I didn't really have a whole lot of friends that had it. But growing throughout the time, that's just it was always self-taught. Like, oh, I'm gonna try this and try this and try this and try this. Like I hated sliders for the longest time until I got used to them. Like I was like, these are a waste of time. Why am I going to adjust this? And whenever I can have a fixed pin and just no problem be done with it.
Right.
But it's just everything is just so different. And another big thing is strings. Strings make a huge difference. If you have a bow sitting on the shelf for a long time, like your assassin, like it doesn't get shot very often, then you crack it out, blow the dust off it, and then start going to town, then
Shoots like a dream.
yeah. Then you're like, this thing just isn't doing anything right for me. Well, I mean, they're all twisted. And like that's a whole nother world. And I don't know a whole lot about strings, but I have plenty of friends that do. And they've showed me, I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's kind of cool. And I put brand new strings on my bow, and my strings were fine, factory strings. And Adam did the same thing to his target bow. They shot. I had to resight my entire bow in. It was completely different, and everything was the spec. It was all timed perfect. I'm like, all right, cool. But it was just a different atmosphere. And that like there's just little things that you pick up on. And I pick up on stuff from my guys all the time. Like it's not I'm solely teaching them constantly, you're gonna do it this way. If you find a way to do it, I could care less how you do something as long as it's the same and nobody's gonna get hurt doing it. Like when I said tying in a peep earlier, I do it a certain way, Adam does it a certain way, Blaine has his way of doing things, and it works perfect for him. There's not a right or a wrong way to do stuff. There's just stuff that we can help you improve on because there's always room for improvement, like in anything you do. And that's what Adam has always told me too. Like he has these little life lessons. It's really cool. Like he has like knowledge, it's there, but we joke around quite a bit. Like what you guys just did, we do that quite a bit too.
Teach
But-
us, Adam. What's a life lesson?
Oh God, here we go. What do you got today?
You already gave us one earlier.
Yeah, so I think the one that rings the truest to me is today is I know a lot of people and a lot of people know me, but I call a few people friends. And it's one thing, that inner circle. I think I sent you guys a funny meme of like some squirrels all trying to stick their head out of the hole of the tree. And it's funny, but there's a mobster that said, you really just need two, bad word, and you can take whatever you want. And, finding, whether you want to call it tribe, finding whatever you want to call it, I think life lessons are understanding people and people that are your friends. And there is a difference. So that's life lessons with Adam. There's a whole podcast coming out about that at some point.
Nice.
Called Life Lessons with Adam. I'm working on the proper leisure suit right now.
I really thought it was gonna be chisel, sharpened stone.
Yeah, that's a good one. After what you guys just did to me about 15 minutes ago, mine is keep your friends close, your enemies closer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's applicable.
Yeah.
No, I think that sometimes you have to just kind of sit back and have these talks with yourself.
Yeah.
Understanding what's important and all those fun things. But yeah.
But I mean, in a nutshell, that's the setup process when you're Weber Outfitters. You buy a
It's hard
bow.
to keep up. We're all like just nonstop.
Yeah, I get it. And that's the process. You buy your bow, and then the setup to walking out the door. So I mean, for a guy like a consumer like me, that's the type of process I would prefer. I'm sure there's bow shops out there or bow stores that you can walk in, buy a bow, and be gone in half an hour.
Yeah.
I would much prefer to spend more time in a shop like Weber because they're going to spend time with you getting bows set up that you want to shoot, number one, then the bow you pick, and then they're going to spend the time with you getting it set up for you.
Correct.
I would much rather be somewhere a little longer. I mean, I guess if you guys are dead empty and Josh is by himself, I guess, then maybe he can do it quicker. But sometimes he's got to answer a phone call, or Adam's got to go do something, or other people walk in. And the nice thing is, then you end up, developing relationships with people. And then, like we saw while we were there, we had like how many different people came in
just to
freaking talk.
Yeah.
Like Adam, your big brother that caught all the crappie for us. He just came in to say hi.
Yep.
And that's pretty cool, because you don't see that a lot of different retail type of stores where people just come in to hang out.
You won't see that at Bass Pro.
No, definitely not.
No, you're not. And that was when we talk about our business model, that was our goal. Like, my goal was a place for families where mom, dad, and the kids. There's a lot of families out there, guys, where husband and wife shot as boyfriend, girlfriend, and then they become husband and wife, and then kids get in the mix, and maybe typically mama doesn't get to shoot as much anymore, right? I mean, that's just typically how it works. I wanted to provide a place where people could come in and do that, and where people could stop in and check in, see what's going on. We got a couple old retired guys that show up, and we sell Fitz's soda, and they'll show up, sit in the lounge, have a Fitz's root beer, and just they want to see the dogs. They want to do it. Like, we're trying to build community. That's what we're trying to do.
Hey.
Our brand is a community. And that doesn't have to be a location. It's a community, right? So whether it's online, whether it's in the store, whether it's at additional stores down the road, things like that, that's what we're trying to build, because that's what we need. We really need that, especially I think post-pandemic. Like, I think a lot of people are hungry for that environment of just being able to get out of the house and enjoy things with people that are similar and like-minded, and you don't have to agree with each other on everything, but have some common ground there. So that's what I go there. I mean, there's no such thing as a day off when you're an entrepreneur, but I find myself there on technically days I don't have to be there, just because
why not?
Craig might stop by, or Tuna might stop by, or like stuff like that.
Y'all over there might not be able to do barbecue, but you can do flavored soda. So congratulations. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What kind of questions you guys got? Like, anything I miss on? Like hit me up. Like, what do you guys got for me?
I'm trying to think of some of the stuff I had written down.
You should probably read, not think.
No.
Sound it out.
No, I mean, I think we pretty much covered everything on the setup side that I was thinking earlier. The biggest thing I kind of wanted to get by me personally, with my setup, and all of us had different setups. Andy had, a few little issues with his too. Micah, like you said, was just done. But
yeah, the Omnia, that bow speaks for itself.
You just don't have any. There's no question, I guess. Instead of walking out of a bow shop with especially like that Elite Era is a $1,600 bow or whatever it is.
Yeah.
MSRP or whatever. So if you walk out, go to your backyard, start shooting, and it doesn't freaking work, all of a sudden you got a sour taste in your mouth about everything, including where you went.
And it piles up too.
And then you start getting pissed off. And then you walk in there in a badass mood, and you're like, this thing freaking sucks. It doesn't even shoot. I can't even, sight it in. Well, that doesn't happen because you're getting the bow set up right after you buy it.
Right.
So you walk out of the shop with a bow that's shooting straight the way it's supposed to, and now you can go and start playing it at home and really start messing with it, instead of like, I guess I'm going back to the bow shop tomorrow because this thing won't even shoot right.
Yeah.
That for a consumer like me is worth the extra time getting it set up correctly. I would hate the other way, where I went home like, well, this thing sucks.
I spent all this money because
here comes the assassin back out. Right. Yeah. I mean, bows are expensive. Even the cheaper ones are still not cheap.
Correct.
You're not going to go spend $200 on a brand new bow.
Correct.
I don't think those exist, but
I don't know. Maybe
not ones you're going to shoot at
small ones. Those really small ones, they're about 200.
Although I will say that Ember was a lot cheaper than I thought it would be. That's a nice bow, and that is not expensive.
Correct.
It's like $560 or something.
That Ember is one of the like that bow right there, they did it perfectly. They really did. Because, I mean, your son can shoot that, and then you can turn the poundage up and adjust, like, without a bow press. Turn the poundage up, move your draw length, and then you can shoot that same bow and go hunting that year. No problem.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
And that's one of the things, like, what you guys are talking about is whenever you do buy a bow from us, like, that process you all went through is the same process every single person gets. New, old, I don't care who you are. It's going to be the exact same thing. Now,
Charge.
yeah, there's no charge with that.
We're not charging you the sale of a bow and time. A lot of places will charge you $1 a minute. That's the going rate for a lot of bow techs out there. And, you know, if you don't know how to do it yourself, you're going to pay, right? But that's not what we're about at all. So,
yeah, because they'll be back. I mean, you know, that's the type of that's the business model from your side is they'll be back because of the way they were treated and the way we take care of them. Instead of, you know, like if I went to a place and like this dude's going to charge me $1 a minute to work on this thing, I'll just do it myself. Then you don't end up, you know, walking back in.
The guy that buys a bow from Weber Outfitters, I want him to text the shop at 7:45. Well, not 7:45 now, but like I want him to text the shop at dark and go, "Hey guys, are you guys around? I shot the big one tonight." And I want him to pull up to the front door, back up, and show us the big one, and you know, crack an adult beverage, and I want to hear the story, right? Because for me, that's what it's about for me. Like it's selling them the bow so that I get to hear the story, right? And then they put a picture on the bragging board, things like that. Like that's what we want, and you know, that's what your local archery shop should be doing for you. You know, is providing a place of community. Like we want you so happy that when you do have that big kill that you just like, man, I got to send this to where I got to tag them on Facebook. I got to post this picture and say, you know, hey, thanks guys. That's what we want. Right. That's the goal.
Yeah. And I mean, that's what we felt, you know, when we were in there. And before we hit the stop button on this, we're going to talk about this in our intro too, but let's revisit this giveaway that we have now announced. You know, if you listened to last week's show, we talked about it. It's been on social media a little bit this week, but let's talk about this giveaway in more detail again. We've got the biggest giveaway that we've ever been a part of on our podcast, you know, 3.5 years old or however old we are now.
3.5 feet.
There you go. The biggest one we've ever had. What do we got going on here?
So we have a Bear Whitetail Pro. It's in right hand or left hand. You're going to get 6 gold tip hunter arrows. The Bear, the Whitetail Pro is completely set up. So it's got a rest, it's got a D-loop, it's got a peep, it's got a quiver, it's got a sight. Like it is ready to hunt. You're going to get 6 gold tip arrows with 100 grain field points. You're going to get a package of G5 Montech 3-blade broadheads. You're going to get a Scott Little Goose release, and you're going to get a block 6x6 broadhead field point target. Now, if you're local to us, we're going to set it up for you for free. If you're not local to us, all of this stuff ships. We're happy to ship it to you. No big deal. You know, and hopefully you've got a good shop, like-minded shop that can help get set up, you know, that sort of thing. So, total value is around $1,200. It's just literally everything you could think about that you would want to get started bowing. I mean, you know, get it set up. You got everything you need, and go to the backyard and start shooting. And then, you know, today is 90 days to the opening day of bow season in Missouri. So, you know, we're giving this away on August 12th. So you'll have 33 days to get set up and ready to go, and then go kill a big one on the 15th of September. If you're in Missouri, you know, everybody has different dates. So make sure you check with your local conservation laws to make sure that you're hunting in the appropriate times. But it's a great option. Left or right hand, doesn't matter. We got you taken care of there. So didn't want to leave any of the southpaws out like Andy. Wanted them to feel very left in there and accommodated. So we're giving it away live on August 12th at 5 p.m. at the Weber Outfitters Try and Buy Hunting Classic. So that is an entire day. We've got vendors. We've got an entire vendor city that we've started laying out. There's going to be vendors everywhere. Every major bow company will be there with a lane. You want to shoot a flagship from everything. Those reps will be there. All kinds of products. And my biggest thing with this whole event is everybody's bringing product to sell. Like, you can't vend there if you don't have product to sell. I hate going to
Except
trade
us.
shows. I hate going to, well, you've got 60 days to get your swag ready to go. But I hate going to shows and you're like, oh man, that's so cool, I gotta have it. And they're like, okay, well, go online and order it. Well, I'm gonna forget, I'm gonna get sidetracked, I'm gonna want it when I want it, and I'm not gonna have it. It's like, it just pisses me off. So I told all the vendors that are coming, bring all the things. Like, we'll fill out of our back stock, but we've got vendors that we don't even stock their products at this point that are coming out. They want to be a part of it. We got some guys that are bringing some Western stuff out, as far as more Western centered hunting, stuff like that. So it's just going to be a great time. 5 p.m. August the 12th. We're giving it away. We're going to have food trucks, all kinds of cool stuff. So yeah, a lot of fun that day.
You need not be present to win. So if you can't make it for whatever reason, obviously you want to come to it, but if you do win, you don't have to be present to win. So if you get drawn, and
cool. We'll be live on your Facebook page. We'll be live on the Outfitters Facebook page and socials that day for the actual giveaway. You can sign up at your website or check the link in all the social medias have it. I'm sure this episode will have it. Check it. And also, it's not just a one-hit wonder. If you enter and then you go to the Facebook page, follow the rules, there's the prompts in there, you can get entered about 7 times, I think it is total, something like that. So you get 7 chances just following the prompts and so on and so forth. So, but yeah, be sure to hit the like and subscribe on this podcast. Super, super happy to be partnered with Missouri Woods and Water for this and for this season and, to come. So, just going to be a great time and looking forward to all that good stuff. It's not just a whitetail show either, by the way, guys. Like, we're talking Ducks Unlimited is going to be there. Quail Forever is going to be there. Lots of people from different, if it can be hunted, I think that's a fair statement, Josh. If it can be hunted, there's going to be people there for it. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Nice.
I know we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. And, that's what I love about the giveaway is when we started our show, like we want to take care of the people that support us. And,
Absolutely.
If we could, we give every damn listener of ours a bow, but it's not possible. In this case, we can give one of our listeners or Weber Outfitters customers a totally set up system, and I just am excited to be able to do that because whenever we get to do that stuff, it makes us feel warm and fuzzy inside. We like taking care of folks. So we're excited to do this with you guys and give it away in a couple months. So Adam, Josh, thanks for coming on and doing a half BS session, half setting up your bow session. But that is how it'll go at Weber. Buying your bow, setting it up, done. Now go get one.
Heck yeah. Thank you guys for having us.
Thanks for coming, boys.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.